This 2003 Torch Red Mach 1 has been in town almost since it was new. The car sounds really good, has an SLP exhaust on it, and I remember cruising around with Danny Johnson in our V6 Mustang and being stopped at a stoplight, and I looked just slightly behind me sitting in the passenger seat. I looked slightly behind me and I could see the Mach 1 sitting right there. It was idling, it sounded really good. I remember looking at the wheels, those are called the Heritage wheels, the Mach 1 wheels, and seeing the running pony in the center cap, and just looking at how nice that car was. I had seen a couple of them in the showroom at the local Ford dealer, and I thought that that's where this car had come from. But this car became known in town, to us at least, as the Walmart Mach 1, because the guy worked at the Walmart distribution center right outside of town. And around here that's a pretty good job, and I had friends who had worked out there at the Walmart distribution center, and they told me that they had seen this car in the parking lot out there, and that it was really loud, and that they could hear it when it was way down by the gas station a few blocks away, and they knew it was him. And so it was a really cool car, and back then it was pretty expensive. It was hard for anybody just to get, and so I really envied this car. This is a picture of that Mach 1 at a local car show in the parking lot. And I remember going to this big Easter car show and seeing it parked out there, and I looked around the car and really admired it. So this is a picture I had actually taken a long time ago of this same car. I had recently done a story about this 2004 Torch Red Mach 1, and this car used to belong to one of my friends, and he worked out there at the Walmart distribution center, and he would park by this Mach 1 and see it once in a while, and he would tell us about the update on the car and said that it was actually getting kind of worn out, the paint was starting to peel a little bit, and he informed us one day that the car had been rear-ended really bad and crunched up in the back. And so we were worried that the car was going to get salvaged out because it had to have a lot of miles on it, because we'd seen it around town and the guy had daily driven it ever since. But luckily the car did get fixed. And so just so we don't get confused here, this is my friend's Mach 1 in this picture, and both those two Mach 1s were out there at the Walmart distribution center parked next to each other at some point. And so I actually had my blue Mach 1 at Walmart, the store, and I saw this red Mach 1 parked there in the parking lot. And so I drove over and parked next to it and got out and started looking at the car, and the owner came out. And we recognized the owner because he had long hair, he was kind of a built-up tough guy. He reminded us of Nickelback. He looked kind of like the Nickelback rock star guy. And so he came walking out, and there we were standing by his car, and we all started talking, and I showed him the blue Mach 1, and we had talked about all the New Edge Mustangs that we had. And it was nice to actually get to talk to the guy and meet the owner of this car. Even though I had seen him around, I never really talked to him. And so we got to talking, and he told me that the car actually came from California, that he had bought it when it was almost new, but he got it out of state. So that eliminated this car as one of the cars that I thought may have been in the showroom at the local Ford dealership when I was younger in 2003, looking at them brand new. So it wasn't one of those cars, but it was a car that's been around town for a long time. So I started looking over the car, and I noticed that the paint really is starting to get kind of bad on it. You can see here on the bumper, under the headlights, it's starting to peel a little bit, and that's common on these. The bumpers usually fade to kind of a pink color on Torch Red, which this is doing. On top of the doors, on the top area where the sun gets it the most, you can see that it's starting to peel up there. The clear coat's starting to turn white. The edges of the hood are starting to peel as well. The clear coat's starting to go white and flake on the corners. My red Mach 1 was just barely starting to do this towards the back, so I know that that's common on these. And then of course you can see the hood stripes just had its day, and it's coming off. This car has been sitting outside its entire life. I know where the guy lives, and I've driven past the car in front of his house, and it's always sat out on the street. But nonetheless, this is a really cool, iconic 2003 Torch Red Mach 1 that has made a name for itself around here. A lot of people know the car. My other friends have told me that they had seen it around. You know, I remember being at a car meet by In-N-Out, and we heard a really loud V8 getting off the freeway, and it sounded like Danny Johnson. And I looked over, and there was a red Mach 1 with SLP exhaust, and I really thought it was Danny Johnson, but it ripped past, and it was this car. And so here's a picture of my Torch Red 04 Mach 1 that I had for a few years. I put about 20,000 miles on it, really enjoyed it. It was a higher mileage car. It had 165,000 miles on it when I sold it, but it was in much better shape than the Walmart Mach 1. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I really enjoyed this car, and it reminded me of this other one that we're talking about here. So it's a really cool story, and it's a really neat car. I'm glad to see it still around town. I'm glad that it was repaired when it was wrecked, and I hope to see the car continue to get a restoration in the future. That's what the owner had told me. He'd like to get it repainted and everything. And I just think it's neat to talk to someone who's owned one for so long. So that's the story of the Walmart Mach 1, and those are the few pictures I had of the car. I was excited to see it at that Walmart parking lot, and I think this is an awesome car. So remember to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more of these Mustang stories.